In the damp chill of dawn, the battlefields of World War I lay shrouded in an eerie silence, broken only by occasional distant rumblings of artillery and the faint cries of weary soldiers. Mud-soaked trenches scarred the landscape, snaking through fields once green and now churned to a desolate brown. This was the theater of a war unlike any the world had seen before, where modern weaponry clashed with outdated tactics, and where bravery and horror walked hand in hand. Lieutenant James Montgomery stood at the edge of the British trench, peering through a periscope towards no man's land. His breath misted in the cold morning air as he surveyed the pockmarked ground, littered with the detritus of countless failed offensives. Barbed wire gleamed like malevolent silver snakes, promising death to any who dared to cross. Across the way, the German lines hunkered down, their own trenches a mirror image of suffering and defiance. James adjusted his helmet, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. His men, young and scared but resolute, awaited his command. They had been here for months, locked in a stalemate of attrition and terror. Every day brought the risk of snipers, gas attacks, or the relentless pounding of artillery. But today was different. Today, they were to push forward, to gain ground that had cost so many lives before them. As the sun peeked over the horizon, casting a feeble light on the battlefield, James gave the signal. Artillery thundered to life behind him, shells screaming overhead to crash into the German positions. The earth trembled beneath his feet, and he felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with fear. The barrage ceased as suddenly as it had begun, leaving an ominous stillness in its wake. "Over the top! Move out!" James shouted, his voice hoarse with urgency. With a roar, the men surged forward, scrambling up the ladder and into the open. Bullets whizzed past, kicking up plumes of dirt as they sprinted across no man's land. The air was thick with the acrid stench of cordite and the distant cries of the wounded. James ran alongside his men, heart pounding in his chest as he dodged craters and leapt over fallen comrades. Ahead, the German trenches loomed closer, a daunting wall of sandbags and machine guns. James shouted orders, directing his men to take cover and return fire. Explosions ripped through the air as grenades arced overhead, adding to the chaos and destruction. The ground beneath them trembled with each concussive blast, threatening to swallow them whole. In the midst of the chaos, James glimpsed a figure stumbling towards him. A young soldier, barely more than a boy, clutching a blood-soaked bandage to his chest. Their eyes met briefly, a silent exchange of understanding and shared terror. James reached out, pulling the soldier into cover as bullets whistled past. "We're going to make it through this," James whispered, though he knew the words rang hollow in the face of such senseless carnage. Hours passed like minutes as the battle raged on, each side locked in a deadly dance of advance and retreat. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting harsh shadows across the torn landscape. By midday, the British forces had gained a foothold in the German trenches, inch by bloody inch. As dusk settled over the battlefield, James surveyed the scene before him. Bodies lay scattered like broken dolls, the ground churned to mud and ruin. Yet amid the devastation, there was a glimmer of hope. They had won this small victory, at a cost too terrible to comprehend. James bowed his head, offering a silent prayer for the fallen. The battlefields of World War I bore witness to countless such scenes of bravery and sacrifice, where ordinary men were called upon to perform extraordinary deeds. For James Montgomery and countless others, the war would leave an indelible mark on their souls, a haunting reminder of the true cost of conflict.